Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to review Stay Alive My Son VR, a game that was released on the Steam store May 1st, 2024 by developer Ume Studios. It normally retails for $39.99. I received a free Steam key through the Steam Creator Connect program to review this game, and I tested it out on the Meta Quest 3 using link cable on my RTX 3080. Stay Alive My Son is the winner of the Producers Guild Innovation Award and based on the novel by Yasay Pin. This VR experience is written and directed by Victoria Busis. It is based on a true story of a Cambodian genocide survivor and father haunted by his past. You witness the world through Yasay's eyes, where every decision you make unfolds his poignant story of family separation, survival, and resilience. The developers claim to have created a new genre of gaming called Cineplay, where they merge cinematic storytelling with interactive gameplay. Now, this is an accurate description of the game, but it's also something that has been done before. I personally would just call this a narrative-driven game. You could even call it a walking simulator for simplicity. It is built on the Unreal Engine 4. The map and the 3D models all look very good, have a lot of detail in this game. It is one of the most hyper-realistic games of this length. It took me about an hour to complete it. It is a cinematic experience. You're basically walking from point A to point B, but there are some very simple basic VR interactions. Most of that is just picking up objects or shining a flashlight at a certain location. There's also some pre-rendered volumetric video in some scenes that give like a 3D holographic effect. I did enjoy this experience. It is a technical marvel. The story of Yasay Pin is very emotional and I was crying near the end, but unfortunately I did experience some technical difficulties that brought down the experience for me, so this may not be for everyone. As I mentioned, this is running on the Unreal Engine 4 and on my RTX 3080 I was getting variable frame rates anywhere from 90 frames per second to as low as 1 frame rate per second. Yes, you heard that correctly, 1 frame rate per second. Now, to be fair, mostly this game was running at anywhere from 45 frames per second to 90 frames per second, in that ballpark, but there were many times where the game fell below 30 frames per second and some certain short sections where it was as low as 10 frames per second all the way down to 1 frame rate per second. And obviously anytime you dip below 90 frames per second, there's a lot of people that'll start feeling motion sickness in VR. In fact, there was a recent study that showed that 120 frames per second is the ideal to avoid motion sickness and nausea. Luckily, I'm a hardened VR veteran with over 10,000 hours in VR, so I can handle 1 frame per second, but I also know a lot of people wouldn't be able to adjust to that. The poor optimization also affected gameplay, as I felt several micro stutters. I had trouble turning at times. You do have full locomotion and snap turning available in this game, but when the frame rate fell very low, I couldn't even snap turn. And the bad part to all this is that there is no graphical options available, no graphical settings. In fact, there are just no settings available at all. So for most people, if you are susceptible to motion sickness, I would say wait for an update to this game that optimizes it better, and maybe it runs smoother on an RTX 4090. What I do know is that you'll need something a lot better than an RTX 3080. And before anyone asks, yes, I did install this on an SSD drive, and I did meet the recommended recommendations on the Steam store page, which is a shame because I actually, like I said, did really enjoy this experience. This is a very good story. The visuals are excellent. Now, as far as the sound mix, I did notice on the YouTube recording that the sound is not synced up correctly. However, I can say that I did not experience that while playing the game. However, I did notice some sound mix issues. Sometimes the voices would run into each other, and sometimes some of the sound effects were just too loud and you just couldn't hear what the actor was saying. And honestly, without the optimization issues, the sound mix would be my only real criticism of this experience, because the storytelling, the world building here, the directing are all excellent. This is a story well told using the immersive power of VR, and it is so emotional being put in the place of Yasay Pin as he tells you his story. Now, I do believe the volumetric video was stylized optimized for an intended effect. And you'll see this volumetric video is blacked off, it's reshaped, and I think that's part of what the director wants you to see. My personal opinion is that this is like a reflection of a person's memories that often with the passage of time are reshaped, are blacked off, and that's why you as the audience are seeing it this way as well. Now, I don't want to spoil the experience anymore, so I won't say too much more, but obviously it had me crying and it is an emotional roller coaster. The last thing I want to touch upon is the price. I know $40 is a big ask for VR, but this experience does have high production values and it's also for a niche audience, and you are paying a premium price due to it being in VR and it being a VR only intended experience. So I don't really have a problem with the price, but it does need to be optimized better at this price point. And I would tell the developers that although your project may be worth $40 just in its artistic merit, it would behoove them to lower the price so you could reach a wider audience, because most VR enthusiasts, especially in PC VR, are not comfortable spending this much. And I say that as a PC VR veteran who has bought thousands of VR games. Anyways, in conclusion, I did enjoy the experience of Stay Alive My Son. I do think it has a lot of artistic merit, and I do recommend it if you can afford it and you have a rig that can run it. I'm not going to rate it, but I will say it was a very good experience. It just needs to be better optimized. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my review for Stay Alive My Son. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the video.
Some pirates have wings that can fly.
Live. Because we love.
This belongs to you, Father. Throw it, Papa, throw it! Remember, Papa? Sprinkle hope for those who love most, and we soar!
Salvation lies in oneself. All virtue and evil will have their effects on this life or the next. But if you make merit, pray for clarity, and perform good acts, then suffering ends, and you live forever free.